Marriage is supposed to make life cheaper. So why do so many married couples making good money still feel broke? Shared rent, shared bills, shared everything. Yet somehow more stress, more debt, and less money than ever. This isn't inflation. It's not bad luck, and it's not because you're irresponsible. It's because marriage comes with money traps nobody warns you about. 10 of them, and if you recognize even a few, your money isn't struggling, it's leaking. Let's talk about where it's going. So there you were, mascara running, voice shaking, promising to love each other for richer or for poorer. And congratulations, you chose poorer. You just didn't know it yet because you were too busy crying over the $4,000 floral arrangements that died 3 days later. If you're married, making decent money and still stressed about finances, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly where it's going and why it feels impossible to get ahead. I'm Mike, and if you've ever looked at your joint bank account and thought, where the hell did it all go, while side-eyeing your spouse across the dinner table, this video is your intervention. But here's the plot twist. It's not entirely their fault. It's both of you. You're a team. A broke team. A financially dysfunctional duo speed-running your way to retirement poverty while telling yourselves you're just living your best life. And before you get defensive, relax. I'm not here to shame you. I'm here to explain why this keeps happening and why almost nobody talks about it. So smash that like button if you've ever fought about money at 11 p.m. on a random Tuesday, and stick around because number 7 is probably happening in your house right now while I'm talking. Here's what nobody tells you at the wedding. That cute saying, 2 can live as cheaply as 1, is complete garbage. Lies. Propaganda. 2 people live as expensively as 3 people and somehow develop the spending habits of 4 people who all hate each other's financial decisions. Kansas State University studied married couples and found something wild. Arguments about money are the #1 predictor of divorce. Not cheating, not who left the toilet seat up, not even whose family you're spending Christmas with. Money. Because apparently, financial stress is the only force in the universe stronger than wedding vows. And whatever you promised in front of your drunk uncle who did the worm at the reception. So today, we're breaking down the 10 financial black holes married couples throw their money into like it's a wishing well, except the only thing you're wishing for is a bank balance above 0. Waste number 1. The wedding itself. Let's start where most financial disasters begin, the wedding. $33,000. That's the average American wedding right now. Let me translate that for you. That's a brand new Honda Civic sitting in your driveway. That's a 20% down payment on a house. That's 4 entire years of groceries. That's your emergency fund, your vacation fund, and your, oh crap, the transmission just died fund, all rolled into one. But no, you needed chair covers, you needed uplighting, you needed monogrammed cocktail napkins that people used exactly once to wipe buffalo wing sauce off their fingers and then threw away forever. You needed a videographer to capture your drunk uncle doing the worm, footage you will watch exactly 1 time, and then it'll live on a hard drive in a drawer until you die. And here's the psychological trap that got you. It's called the sunk cost fallacy mixed with, my college roommate had a $45,000 vineyard wedding, so I can't just do a courthouse ceremony. What would people think? You already told 200 people you're engaged. The dress is ordered. The save the dates are sent. Now you're locked into a financial arms race with every other couple you know, competing to see who can start their marriage the most broke. So you finance it. You put it on credit cards. You take out a personal loan. And then you spend the next 3 to 5 years making monthly payments on a party that's already over. That ice sculpture swan that melted by hour 2, you're still paying for it in month 23. That centerpiece arrangement that looked amazing for 6 hours, you're paying for it until your first anniversary. Romance isn't dead, it's just on a payment plan at 19.9% APR. Meanwhile, research found that couples who spend less on their wedding actually have longer-lasting marriages. Turns out, starting your life together with money in the bank instead of crippling debt is, wait for it, romantic. Who knew? That takes to waste number 3, the money pit house. Now let's talk about the American dream that quietly turns into the American nightmare. Buying too much house and then acting shocked when it eats all your money. Here's how this trap works. Mortgage lenders approve you for up to 43% of your gross income. That's not what you should spend. That's the absolute maximum they think you can pay before you literally can't afford food. It's not advice, it's a warning label. But you hear that approval number and think you won the lottery. We're approved for $600,000. You say it like Publishers Clearinghouse just showed up at your door. You didn't win anything. You won the opportunity to be in debt for 30 years for a house that needs a new roof in year 7. So you buy at the very top of your budget, and suddenly, you're house poor. You've got granite countertops and no grocery budget. You've got a 3-car garage and can't afford gas for the cars. You're living in a beautiful prison with a mortgage warden. But Mike, the mortgage payment fits in our budget. Cool. Let's talk about everything you forgot. Property taxes. That's another $400 a month. Homeowners insurance. Add another $200. HOA fees, because you bought in a neighborhood with a committee that monitors your mailbox color, there's another $150. And maintenance. Oh, sweet summer child. The 1% rule says you should budget 1% of your home's value every year for repairs. Got a $400,000 house? That's $4,000 a year for stuff breaking. And stuff will break. The water heater doesn't care that you're house poor. It's going to die on a Sunday night in February. It's going to cost $2,500, and you're going to put it on a credit card because every dollar you had went to the down payment, the closing costs, and making the house move-in ready. Most people don't own their house. Their house owns them. And then you can't just leave it alone, can you? No, you need to renovate. Waste number 4. Renovations for the gram. Your kitchen works. It cooks food. That is literally its only job, and it does it just fine. But it doesn't look like the kitchen's on Instagram, so clearly you're failing at life. You need open concept, you need shiplap, you need a farmhouse sink that costs $1,400 because apparently normal sinks are for people without vision. You need subway tile, you need pendant lighting that costs more than your first car. So you renovate. $68,000 later, you've added about $40,000 in resale value. Let me translate that. You spent $68,000 to gain $40,000. You just lit $28,000 on fire to make your kitchen prettier for the next owner, who's going to rip it all out anyway because their wife hates your grayish paint color. But you're not doing this for resale value. You're doing it because HGTV convinced you that your perfectly fine kitchen is a crime against humanity. And here's the really painful part. You're financing it. Home equity line of credit, 7% interest. That's $68,000 kitchen. Over 10 years, you're paying about $95,000 for a project that added $40,000 in value. The math isn't mathing, but your contractor just bought a boat with your money, so someone's winning. Actual wealthy people don't do this. They buy houses that work, and then they leave them alone. They invest the renovation money in assets that actually grow. But that's not as fun as arguing about cabinet pulls for 47 hours. And all of this, the house, the renovations, the cars, it's fueled by the most expensive competition in America. Keeping up with the Joneses. Here's the secret nobody's telling you. The Joneses are broke. They're drowning. They're one emergency away from financial disaster. They're just really good at hiding it. Your neighbors get solar panels. Now your electric bill feels like a moral failure. Your coworker finishes their basement into a home theater. Now your basement feels like a dungeon. Your sister buys a boat. Now you need a boat, despite living in Arizona and getting seasick the only 2 times you've ever been on one. Here's the uncomfortable reality. A huge percentage of Americans can't cover a small emergency without debt. That means statistically, almost half the people you're trying to keep up with can't afford their own lives. You're in a competition to see who can go bankrupt with the most style. You're racing to the bottom while posting pictures from the top. Your neighbors have $80,000 cars in the driveway and $200 in their savings account. They're eating ramen in their Mac mansion, posting vacation photos from trips they put entirely on credit cards, living one broken air conditioner away from a GoFundMe campaign. Actual millionaires? They're boring. They drive used cars. They live in modest houses. You don't even notice them because there's nothing flashy about financial stability. Meanwhile, the people with all the toys and status symbols, They're financing their entire existence and wondering why they're always stressed about money. You're not in a race to build wealth. You're in a race to look wealthy for as long as possible before everything collapses. And spoiler alert, everybody loses. Moving on. Waste number 6, the subscription death spiral. Now let's talk about how you're being bled to death, $12.99 at a time. Subscriptions. Let's count them together. Netflix, Hulu, Disney+, HBO, Apple TV, Paramount, Peacock, Amazon Prime, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Premium, the meditation app you used twice, the language app where you learned how to say, "Where is the bathroom?" and nothing else. The meal kit service with boxes currently rotting in your fridge. The wine club, the coffee subscription, the razor blade subscription, the dog toy subscription because apparently your dog needs a monthly box of toys it'll destroy in 11 minutes. You thought of maybe 8 just now, didn't you? You actually have 15. Most people underestimate their subscription spending by a lot. You think you're spending around $100 a month. You're actually closer to $270. That's over $3,000 a year. Over 10 years, that's more than $30,000. For what exactly? The privilege of scrolling through streaming apps for 45 minutes every night before giving up and re-watching the same show for the 47th time? Here's why this is so dangerous. These charges are automatic, invisible. You don't feel them. The money just disappears. When spending doesn't hurt, your brain doesn't register it as spending. You're being financially pickpocketed with your own permission. I once met a couple paying for a gym membership to a gym that had been closed for 2 years. 2 years! They donated almost $1,000 to a building that no longer existed because they never checked their statement. That's not financial management. That's financial negligence. And while we're here, let's talk about invisible spending's evil twin, the convenience tax. DoorDash, Instacart. You want $25 worth of food. By the time the fees hit, the delivery charge, the small order penalty, the surge pricing, and the tip, that order is now $43. You just paid a 70+% markup for someone to drive food 7 minutes to your house. But Mike, we're tired. We work. We don't have time to cook. I get it. I really do. But let's do some math that's going to hurt. 3 delivery orders a week, $18 in markup each. That's over $50 a week, nearly $3,000 a year. Over 10 years, almost $30,000 for cold fries and soggy burritos. That's a car. That's a down payment. That's retirement money. But instead, it's gone. And it's not just food. Pre-cut vegetables, single-serve snacks, bottled water, coffee pods that cost 10 times more than regular coffee. You're paying corporations to save you 30 seconds while you spend 47 minutes scrolling your phone. Your time isn't too valuable, you're just exhausted, and companies have figured out how to monetize your exhaustion. And it's working really well. Now we get to the most dangerous phrase in personal finance. We deserve it. We worked hard. We deserve a nice dinner. We had a stressful week. We deserve this trip. We've been good lately. We deserve to splurge. And listen, you do deserve nice things. You really do. But deserve has become a blank check you write to yourself and then act shocked when it bounces. That $180 steak dinner on a credit card that you don't pay off at 22% interest. That deserved dinner didn't cost $180. It cost over $300 by the time interest is done with it. And it's not just dinner. Concert tickets, new TVs, weekend getaways, clothes, gadgets, every purchase justified with the same magic word, deserve. Here's what's really happening. You're using spending as emotional regulation. You're stressed, so you buy something. You feel good for a few minutes, then you're right back where you started, so you spend again. That's hedonic adaptation. The dopamine hit gets weaker, so the spending gets bigger. First, it was any dinner out. Then it had to be a nice place. Now it has to be the place with the sommelier and the $95 steak. You're not treating yourself. You're training yourself to need more for less happiness. You know what you actually deserve? Financial security, peace of mind, a future where retirement doesn't mean working until you're 70. But none of that ships overnight, so it doesn't feel as satisfying as clicking buy now. And now, waste number 9, financial infidelity. Now we're moving into the part that destroys both your money and your marriage. Financial infidelity. Hidden credit cards, secret Amazon accounts, cash back at the grocery store that quietly funds side spending. The classic line, "Oh, this old thing? I've had it forever." Meanwhile, the tags are still in your car from yesterday. Almost half of married adults with shared finances admit they've done this. Almost half. And honestly, it makes sense. You're tired of fighting about money. You don't want another lecture. You just want this one thing without the third degree. So you hide it. You create a separate account. You delete the shipping notifications. You pay cash so there's no paper trail. You stash receipts in your car like evidence. You've turned into a financial spy in your own marriage. But here's the real damage. It's not the money, it's the trust. Because when your partner finds out, and they will, it's not about the shoes or the gadget, it's about the lying. It becomes, what else have you been hiding? How long has this been happening? How can I trust you now? And financial therapists will tell you this straight. This kind of betrayal is brutal. Because it's not one mistake, it's repeated, intentional deception. Every hidden purchase chose the thing over the person you married. And then comes the irony. Now you need therapy to fix the damage. $200 a session, every week, for months. You secretly spent money, destroyed trust, and now you're openly spending money to repair what the secret spending broke. You didn't just waste money, you weaponized it. And that brings us to the final waste, the one underneath everything else. Avoiding the conversation. You don't have a budget because budgets lead to fights. You don't review spending because that means facing reality. You don't plan for retirement because it's uncomfortable. So you don't talk about it. At all. Ever. Money becomes Voldemort, the thing that must not be named. Hope becomes your financial strategy. And hope is a terrible planner. Couples who avoid money conversations are far more likely to break apart. And even if you stay together, you're living in a financial fog. Neither of you is driving. You're just passengers, hoping the car doesn't crash while refusing to grab the wheel because it might start a fight. That's not peace. That's slow burn anxiety. Every month you avoid the conversation costs you real money. Subscriptions keep charging. Bad habits continue. Opportunities pass you by. And here's the cruel part. The stress of avoiding the conversation is usually worse than the conversation itself. You lie awake at 2 in the morning, thinking about bills, feeling guilty about spending, worried about the future, carrying this low-level anxiety all the time just to avoid a 30-minute talk. That's not financial planning. That's financial torture. So let's add it up. Not precisely because that would ruin your day, but honestly. The wedding, the duplicate everything, the oversized house, the renovations, the status spending, the subscriptions, the convenience tax, the we deserve it purchases, the hidden spending, and the cost of never talking about money. Conservatively, you're bleeding $15,000 to $20,000 a year, every year. Over a long marriage, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars, gone. That's retirement. That's college paid for. That's freedom. Instead, it vanished, spent on things you don't remember, to impress people you don't like, while avoiding conversations with the person you married. And you think this is normal. You think everyone lives like this. You think being stressed about money while earning good income is just life. It's not normal. It's a choice you've been making. Over and over. And the good news, the only good news, is that choices can change. But it starts tonight. Not next week, not when things calm down. Tonight. Sit down, open the statements, look at the subscriptions, look at the numbers, have the conversation. It might be uncomfortable. It might turn into a fight. You might cry. Do it anyway. Because the alternative is spending the next 30 years running on this hamster wheel, making more, spending more, and ending up exactly where you started. Broke. Stressed, confused for everything when your future selves are begging you. Your marriage needs you to. Your financial freedom is waiting. Stop wasting money. Start building wealth. And for the love of everything, cancel the subscriptions you forgot you had. I'm Mike. If this hurt your feelings, good. That means it's working. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment which one of these hit closest to home. Now get off YouTube and go have that money talk. Your future depends on it.